This is Whiskey Whereabouts. I'm Tim, and this is Arran 10 Year. It won the Online Scotch Whisky Awards Best Value Whiskey for 3 consecutive years. It is a darling of whiskey YouTube. What is so great about this whiskey? My whiskey journey has taken me to Scotland and back. I've explored whiskey education, tastings, and distilleries from Islay to Speyside. And now my journey continues here, with you, on Whiskey Whereabouts. We are fast approaching 3,000 subscribers on the channel. Thanks to everyone who subscribed, who has shared this channel, and in celebration of this milestone, I'm going to turn a video over to you. So I'm going to do a question answer, so Q&A video to mark the occasion. And if you go to the channel's page, just click the name of the channel where that logo is, right down on the sort of left side, right below where the play and pause button are. It'll take you to the page for the channel. There's a little banner across with the videos right next to playlist. It says posts. If you go to posts, I will have a prompt asking for questions to be posted there. If that's confusing, if it's easier, go ahead and post your questions in the comments of this video. I'm gonna collect the questions and prepare a little Q&A video coming soon as we hit that mark. And before I put away the canister here, I don't talk a lot about packaging on the channel. It's a liquid, it's not the bottle. They revamped this entire presentation not too long ago. And I like to point out when they do something that's worthwhile, that's not just marketing design, and they've got the sort of braille text here, making it even more accessible. It's something innovative that I like about the way that Arran presents the whiskey. And there's going to be a lot of talk about the way Arran presents the whiskey, because what we have here is a perfect representation of what Ralphie calls, integrity bottling. We've got the 46% non-chill filtered, no color added, with an age statement. And this is the type of presentation that we want to see. So far, so good with Arran. What's in this bottle? It's bourbon and sherry matured whiskey. You can see the color more so with the bottle. It's only 10-year whiskey, and you can see there's a little bit of color in the light, most likely coming from those sherry casks. And obviously Arran is an island, and the distillery that is located, the Lacranza distillery, makes this an island whiskey. It's non-peated. We may be looking to see some elements here, the way we think of a Bunnahabhain or something like that, with a sort of coastal quality as we get into it. So this is distilled and matured on the island, and we have a pretty craft sort of focus kind of presentation. You can see why whiskey like this gets so much traction with those of us who take these whiskeys so seriously. So let's just dive in. Let's get into this whiskey pour. Now, on the nose, neat. Okay, 46%, and on the neck pour, there's lots of rich flavor. There was nothing thin about it. It did come off a little sharp, a little young, a little almost hot. That, you can see the level. I've been dipping into this one. Spoiler alert, it's a good whiskey, and it has the other elements catching up to that. It hasn't gone away. I think that's a good thing. I think it has a nice presence. I think it's leading with lemon citrus on the nose. There's some orchard fruit here. It started out pretty straightforward apple, but now that it's had time to open up, and I've got this level down a little bit, this pour and the last one, honestly, that orchard element's gone a little peach, which is nice. It's given it a little bit of dimension. And the sherry sort of spice, it's pretty subtle. It's there. It's an accent. But there's a new note here after the first couple of pours out of this that's really kind of blossomed and come to the surface. Damp wood, a little earthy, little mineral. There's almost a tea leaf. This has given it an entirely new dimension versus that straightforward sort of orchard fruitiness, that citrus and that sherry. Now I've got these other much more earthy, textured elements. I'm not talking a lot about standard traditional bourbon cask notes here. Not getting that sort of overwhelming kind of note. I'm getting more of these other elements. It's not super salty, briny, coastal. Not getting a lot of that. Again, it's more earthy, a little bit more sour, a little bit more pungent in a good way, balancing out with those sweeter elements. Let's check out the palate now. It's nice, rich mouthfeel. 46% non-chill filter whiskey, check. It really has a liveliness. There's a little bit of heat, that sort of pepper sting kind of when you hold it, trying to unpack the notes. This is a really citrus forward experience. I expect orange citrus from the sherry casks, and I'm getting it in a big presence here. And it is almost effervescent. There's a lively kind of citrus on the tongue, sitting there, not just that sort of flavor element. It's also very vanilla. Now the bourbon cask element is coming in on the palate. There's a fruit. Now I'm getting almost banana. It's nice. Getting that nice tropical kind of layer kind of across the tongue with that effervescence. It's a really nice sort of interplay here. It's not as earthy as the nose, but the tropical aspect of that fruit is kind of carrying through a little bit of that, offsetting some of the more sharper, the citrus. Yeah, that orchard fruit is still there. It's gone back to apple, offset by the rest of that citrus. Pretty solid. Let's go back in now on the finish. Medium to long. Still have some of it playing out across the tongue. It's a little bit of heat here. Not too much, but it's certainly letting its presence be known that this is, full 46% whiskey. I'm having a lot of the orange citrus carrying through the vanilla. There's some cask. There's some cinnamon. It's a very straightforward finish, and what I mean is it kind of just presents and plays out. I'm not getting a lot of sort of cascade or different sort of evolutions of it. It develops and just sort of echoes what has already gone through. I still have that orange effervescent. I still have a little bit of that vanilla sort of creamy sweet around the sides, and a little bit of that dash of tannin. I would say a little bit of sort of just maltiness. It's not really a cereal forward kind of whiskey, but it's got that presence, and it is a nice, rich, round finish. A little bit lively heat. Nothing that, you and I can't handle, but let's see. Let's see if we can hit it with a little water, if we're going to find anything else. Yes, I find that the water has sort of opened up the heat a little bit, especially if you swirl it around. But it's also concentrating a lot of the flavor. That vanilla sort of creamy sweet is gone. Caramel at one level, and there's also almost like a marshmallow sort of sweetness to it. The orchard fruit's gone pear. There's a condensed sort of brown sugar. There's a little bit of citrus, but the citrus has faded. It doesn't have that same bright sort of lemon citrus. Let's see. The palate can be perilous, especially at this ABV with the water. Let's see what happens now. So the water has washed away some of the heat. The mouthfeel survived. It's still pretty rich, which is nice. I would say that the flavors have gone a little bitter almost. I'm getting sour citrus, tart berry now. I'm getting a little bit more cask, and I am getting almost like a semi-sweet chocolate. It's still, the vanilla's still there, but it has that not quite dark chocolate. It's not that bitter, but it's just shifted a little bit on the that quality, that sweetness. But that orange, that really strong kind of presence has gone a little bit sour lemon now on the palate. I don't think it's an improvement on the palate. Let's see about the finish though. It's solid. It's diminished it. It's not. It doesn't have as many dimensions, and it's not as long. It still has some heat though. I mean, even now I'm getting maybe a little bit more of that in the sinus. The orange is back. There's a lot of it. There is that sort of condensed sweetness, that real vanilla caramel swirl, and there is I would say still some of that cask, but I think the sweetness has been turned up. That orange is there, but it doesn't have that same sort of liveliness, that same effervescence in the palate or the finish here with the water. So I don't think the water has helped this whiskey really at all. It doesn't need it. It's not too hot. You could drink it with the water if you want to, but I think it presents a lot better neat. So how well does this present neat? What am I gonna rate this whiskey? This is a very, very solid 10-year whiskey. really well presented. And I just talked about this whiskey in my video about Scotch whiskeys recommended for bourbon drinkers. I'll put the link up here if you haven't checked that one out. But not just because of it just being a quality whiskey, but because it was a perfect model of a certain style that bourbon and sherry both influenced, vatted together. Scotch whiskey, this is a model example of that. And I'm going to say it's 4 glasses in the glass. So moving on to talk about value, this whiskey has a reputation for having being a great value. The Oslos certainly seem to think so. I find that the price of this whiskey is sort of fluctuates all over the place. I paid $73 for my bottle, which I think is fair, but I don't think it's a great price. It's more than I would expect to pay for Bunnahabhain 12 year, which has more ABV, and it's 2 years more in the warehouse, and it's just as well presented, and I think it's better. It's $10 or more dollars more than I would expect to pay for Ardbeg 10, which is similarly presented 10-year whiskey. I see the price of this as low as below 70 to as high as, almost knocking on the door of 80, which is too much to pay for this whiskey. So I'm going to say, this is a whiskey that is going to cost $5 to $10 or more dollars more than Bunnahabhain 12 year. I'm going to say that I'm not going to penalize it. I don't think that this was overpriced based on what my experience with this whiskey is at the price that I paid. I wouldn't pay $80 for this whiskey. I'm just going to leave it. So it's 4 glass final rating. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe and make sure to leave your question for our upcoming Q&A episode. As I talked about at the beginning of this video, you can leave it in the comments here. You can put it over on I'll have a post up by the time this drops over on the channel's YouTube page. And I will see you on the next one.